Hey guys, my name is Zach Dewhurst. I am the owner of Deco Experts. I have been using DecoNetwork software for 10 years now, and as a Deco Pro, I help licensees, essentially shops like yours, get the most out of the software. One of my previous clients, or actually ongoing clients, and one of my favorites is Tim Pip, the owner of Bees Tees. Tim has used DecoNetwork software for over 7 years. He offers everything from screen printing to embroidery, and he is an expert at essentially the industry. I know a lot about printing and embroidery. Tim knows more. So I'm not going to BS my way through talking about is contract printing and embroidery right for your business. I've brought on Tim Pip to help give you input from his years of experience when it comes to offering contract printing and embroidery services to his clientele. So Tim, introduce yourself and we'll get started.
Yeah, thanks. I'm Tim Pip. My company's Bees Tea Screen Printing. We're located in New Hampshire. I've got 2 storefront locations, and then we've got a separate production facility a town away from one of my stores. We opened up our second storefront in February of 2020, so about 3 weeks before all the states started shutting down, we had opened up our second store, but things are looking back up, and we've just kind of juked around over the last 10 years, and just expanded our product offerings and what we do as a business.
Thanks, Tim. So again, today's webinar is going to focus around why offer contract printing and embroidery, and we've kind of been talking about it a little bit here. Is it can lead to a lot of other relationships. It sounds like you never know who that person is related to or what division they represent of a whole larger organization. So other than the other leads that come from your contract work, as far as profitability, how profitable is contract work, and when is it not profitable?
Well, I didn't really think we'd go more into the contract world, but we're definitely heading more towards that. When we opened our second store, print shops were reaching out to us about printing for them, and so we've got this exposure in our community as the place to go for custom apparel. But then other print shops are like, well, we don't offer custom apparel. These guys do. Maybe we can tag team on them. I bought a second auto 2 years ago, and it was more, we didn't really need it, but I knew we would need it at some point. And so it was really good filler. And so, contract is really good filler work. I don't know that I can make a business the way I've done it out of being my main source of income in printing. I would say 25 or less % of our business is contract. But a huge part of contract is the efficiency. And, if you make a mistake or you take too long or you judge something, it's costly. Whereas with a normal customer, you're almost doubling your money. With contract customer, they're paying for the garment. So, you got a $1.80 t-shirt that you just messed up. You're charging them $1 for the print. Now you're $2.80 into this thing. And, and you're only getting $1. So there's a lot of room for error, but, we definitely like it when we're slower. We have one contract customer. He actually rents out of my building, out of my production facility. He is one of our bigger customers, but he sends us other work. All I got to do when we're slow is say, hey, I'm not busy. And he goes out, calls all of his customers, and we end up getting, busy from that. So, and he actually is cheaper pricing than my contract rates that you saw. We've just come up with a number that he pays, and 1, 2, 3 colors, he pays the same price. Front and back, he pays, ×2, and that's it. But he comes to me with the shirts, he comes to me with the colors, artwork ready to go, and he gives me about 2 weeks to finish everything. So, he's a good customer because he's there when I need him. And but a mistake in contract could cost more than the job is even worth.
Yeah, and those auto presses are really nice, but one, they're expensive, and two, they want to print. So having that contract work, it allows that machine to essentially be continuously running and cover a lot of your overhead costs, right? I mean, like, not saying that our goal is to break even, but I mean, 15 years ago when I worked at Best Buy, I could not believe that, oh, we sell how many products at a loss? You're telling me we'll lose $10 on that laptop so we can make $40 on the case that we're selling for 45? I mean, it was kind of crazy, some of the thinking, but obviously they knew what they were doing. So as you kind of said, you haven't made it your primary part of the business, but does it help give you a little bit of peace of mind that you're never going to, paying those employees and just keeping your equipment going and paying it off is easier because you open the door to the contract work?
Yeah, when COVID first hit, one of the things that was a little more constant was the contract work, because you have 25, 30 different businesses or people that are doing all the footwork for you, and they're giving you these perfect orders that are put together. Whereas, I've got my sales staff is 5 people right now, and each of them might put 3 or 4 orders together a day. Contract person might say we could get 4 or 5 orders a day just from a contract person. So, and I have one particular person in my company that handles all of our contract work. And so she is putting together 10 or 15 orders a day. And so they're a lot easier to put together. It's not easier. It's not going to make us a lot of money. But like Zach said, we already have the staff. We already have the equipment. My lights are already on. If this meant going home an hour early, that means that everybody's staying until the end of the day. I think a lot of the people in our business look at pricing a little bit different and possibly wrong. My staff is already here 40 hours a week. My lights are on 40 hours a week. My dryer is running for 40 hours a week. What I do within that 40 hours is how I make money. And so if we print a job for a contract customer and we make $1,000, just $1,000, not profit, or just $1,000, that $1,000 is extra on what we were going to make anyway. And the lights were on. We're not doing overtime, and overtime would actually be something we'd want to look at for contract. If we're going to pay holiday hours, we'd want to look at that. If we're going to outsource ourselves because we're too busy, that's something we'd want to look at. So, but for us to stay busy, that's more important than not having to work and sending people home. And the way I look at it is everybody's already here. We're already doing it. Let's just take it in. So, we never really turn down work, but it's contract keeps us busy all the time.
Well, and you kind of a couple things different that you said there. One, you said that it was actually busier during the pandemic initially, and that's what I love about our industry and something that Deco software allows us to do, and that is to diversify how we make money. We can have so many sales channels. You can focus on B2B or B2C or working with affiliates like YouTubers and so forth. Or maybe you're in the contract world. And the more different, the number one thing with investing is to diversify yourself to avoid having, everything hit the fan, because you have that safety net in a way. And I'm not saying that, again, contract is what it would, be your main revenue model, but it is nice to be able to have several different channels bringing you revenue. And it sounds like the majority of your contract clients are people in the industry who are essentially acting like a sales rep for you. You're
Yes.
doing everything as far as the decoration for them, but they're the ones dealing with the customers and so forth. All you're being asked to do is, here's the art, put it on this product, and I'll pay you for that little, that portion of the whole grand scheme of things. I mean, there's often a negative connotation that you're just a middleman. There is nothing wrong with being a middleman, and especially with a custom decorated product. I mean, we're most of us in the industry, we start out of our garage or our basement, and we grow into production space, and eventually maybe we'll have a couple different locations and so forth like yours. But it's beautiful that we can go any way we want, and I always love the idea of, don't buy equipment until you can justify the cost. And you mentioned earlier how embroidery, you're essentially paying off the contract embroiderer's equipment. You have to eventually have that make or buy decision. Are we going to start making this ourselves? Or are we going to keep outsourcing it? Is it profitable to bring it in-house now? And having, it's just great in the industry that, you know, they can essentially outsource orders to a shop like yours before ordering their own equipment. And once they've proven to themselves that I've got the demand to bring this in-house, they can. But I also think that a lot of shops got to remember, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And if you go to a trade show, a lot of the sales reps will sell you, I mean, I don't care what if it's our industry or whatever, every rep is going to make something sound easier than it is, and at least initially. You know, I love at the trade shows, and I'm not saying it's not possible, but, you know, hey, we can DTG on 100% poly. Yeah, but it's a water-based ink and it's a moisture-wicking material. Is it meant to be? Just because you've proven that you can, does that mean we should? And just because you have screen printing equipment doesn't mean that 500-piece order or that 10-color spot color is what you manually want to print. Sometimes it's plenty fine to play that middleman role, pass the order on to someone like you, but know that middleman role did require a lot of work. I mean, in the act of decorating a product, correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, once you have the artwork ready and you're on press, printing the actual thing is probably the easiest part for you. It's getting all the other parts from the customer. And something, you know, we've been talking primarily about embroidery and screen printing. Embroidery and screen printing, I mean, every decoration process is very much so an art. Now, with DTG and sublimation, I'm not saying that it's not an art, but a lot of it is pushing a button, letting the printer print it for you, and maybe you press it. Screen printing does take some more skill. Embroidery takes a little bit more skill. But what's amazing about those two processes is how cheap the materials themselves are that go into the act of decorating. Thread and backing is pathetically cheap at how much embroidery costs. When you look at screen, how much actual cost you have versus labor, it's all labor. So and you, like you said, if that machine is there, your goal is to just get somebody to always be running that piece of equipment as much as it can. And in our industry, they build these pieces of equipment so that they can run 24/7. That's the idea, is you can maximize its potential. But is that one of the reasons why you like to offer the contract stuff? Because you know your cost in the act of decorating is so minimal. Your only cost really is your labor for the most part. I'm not saying it's not, but I mean, out of the cost to print a shirt, I mean, what is it? 5% material, 95% labor?
Yeah, I mean, other than the garment, obviously, but
yeah, other than the garment, yeah.
I had it broken down years ago on the cost of printing a shirt, and you know, just take $100 for a gallon of white. How many prints are you gonna get out of that? You know, you're talking pennies, you know, just for white ink, and that's the expensive stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, we don't change anything, and I think that's sort of where you were going, is we're not changing anything to bring the stuff in. It's easy to get on the press. Once it's on the press, it's quick. I will say, when I first started my business, I started in the basement like a lot of people. I built my first press. I ended up going with a one station, 4-color. Then I upgraded to a bigger press, then another one. And as I kept upgrading, I was able to take in a little bit more. And so that's kind of how these things happened. Was I wanted to keep growing, so I kind of took in more of this contract stuff. As we've grown, I outsourced all my screen printing, or all of my embroidery. I used to outsource a lot of my screen printing, and you mentioned it earlier that I mentioned about buying the embroidery machine. Same thing with the screen printing stuff. That's when I knew that an auto was in my future. I looked at what I paid my contract printer, and that number matched, close to what the cost of an automatic press was. So why wouldn't I get, other than staffing that press, training, there's a lot more expense to an auto than there is a manual, but it made sense for me to make that move, and the amount of work I was sending out was enough too. So, we made that leap, but I had to kind of secure some extra work to make sure that that press was always busy. And in doing so, right when we got our auto, we were way too busy. And so we were starting to outsource again. And, then we bought a second auto, and, we, over the last 2 or 3 years since we've had that one, we've probably sent out 2 or 3 jobs, and that was mostly either a staffing issue or, we just had a lot of other stuff going on. So we rarely outsource stuff. We do if we need to, but, again, it's filler work for us. A lot of our contract customers are on the understanding of, we'll get it done when we have time. Or, we have some of those customers that are, they sell stuff at shows or fairs, and they don't really need it until the next season. So, give me 3 months and I'll get it done for you. So that means January, February, March, we're printing their stuff. And, we did an embroidery contract job. I hate to admit it, but I think we got, I've got it written down on my desk. It's $14 for the dozen. So $1 something for each piece. It's a left chest, but you know what? We did it in January, and we had it out. It took us 3 weeks. There was like 1,500 or 1,700 pieces. It took us 3 weeks to do, only because we were doing our work first. And instead of sending both of my embroidery people home, I said, you can work the full day now. And so they, worked diligently to get it done. And, I told them you need to do X amount an hour. And I'm not one of those people that's pointing and telling you got to get it done. But I said, on this one, we're not making any money. This is covering your cost. So I need you to get it done. No mistakes. And they got it done. I mean, the customer supplied the jacket. It had like 3,000 stitches. So it wasn't a very long job, but, we didn't lose money on it. And I kept them staffed for 3 weeks, and, I actually think we made money on it. So, it wasn't about a $10,000 take home. It was about keeping them busy for a couple weeks.
All right, we have covered a lot during this webinar. Hopefully it has been helpful. If you have questions about how to use DecoNetwork software, you can email me at decoexperts@deconetwork.com. If you have any questions about outsourcing contract work to Tim Pip at Bees Tees, email him at tpip@beestees.com. Thank you for attending the webinar, and can't wait to host another one and hopefully educate you guys more on the industry. Thanks, Tim, for joining. We'll talk to you next time.
Thank you.